Okay, so recently I had Aynsley Lister over, who is well known as a Strat player. So he brought with him 2 of his Strats, and it occurred to me as soon as he started playing one of them, the one that you heard in the intro there, that actually Strats are probably more varied than I'd even thought. This particular Strat, the blonde one at the beginning, is a 1974 Strat. It's pretty much original apart from refret and 5-way switch. What's really unusual about it is it has like a bird's eye maple neck, which is just something that you never see. So Aynsleys asked around, people think maybe it was made for a show at the time by Fender. So I heard Aynsley playing this, and like the whole room just filled with this sound. I mean, we were using a loud amp, but he'd already plugged in the other Strat first, and it sounded good, but it didn't have this massive sound. So I picked it up myself, and then for the next 2 days that Aynsley was here, every chance I had, I would pick up that yellow Strat and have a blast on it. So what I thought would be interesting was if I asked Aynsley to play all the Strats that were in the room. There were 5 Strats here at that point, my 3 and his 2, the 2 that he'd brought. So I thought it'd be fun to go through them, and he sort of picked each one up, and he'd have a little 30 seconds to figure out the guitar, and then he'd go for it. And I want to talk to you about what I heard and what I felt as he did that. So let's jump in with my Macmull S Classic. Macmull are a boutique guitar maker in Israel. I bought this one recently. The pickups are made by Macmull themselves. I fell in love with the comfortable neck and the relicking. Yeah, it's that superficial really, but no, it sounds great. It's actually the most different out of the 5 Strats, so let's see what you think.
Okay, so this feels like quite a funky guitar, so
It's got little end as well. So actually you can hear more of that guitar right at the end of the video. There'll be a clip of Aynsley playing that guitar through to the end. What was most interesting with this one was he picked it up, played a few notes. This was before I was even recording, and he said, he used a funny word. He said, this one's a bit plinky. Now, having just been playing his blonde one, which has this huge full frequency of sound with quite a lot of hair on it, I can understand what he meant. He basically it's a tight sounding guitar. It's quite mid focused for a Strat, and unless you really push it, it's quite polite in some ways. So I really think it suits certain ways of playing. Now, I mean, you could hear it did that really funky thing, which I think is great with those mids. It really came across well. So I think it would suit someone who does that. Macmull themselves, on all their sort of promo videos, the demo player tends to play clean. And I think they love Mark Knopfler and those sorts of sounds. And I think this guitar excels at that sort of thing. But and I think it's probably really great, actually, outside of this sort of solo playing, in a live situation, that this sound could probably push through quite well. It hasn't got too much bottom end, and in recording, it's got a really pristine sort of sound. So I like that. But yeah, I mean, so far Aynsley was still happier with his blonde Strat, understandably. Okay, let's move on to one of his other ones, which is a colour I'd never seen before or heard before. I think it's called Shoreline Gold. So this was a 1970 Strat. I think Aynsley's had quite a lot of work done to this one, probably refretted, but mainly he's got a whole new pick guard with wiring loom in there. But he keeps changing the pickups in it to try and figure out what's best for him. But he had this refinished in this Shoreline Gold, which is quite a unique colour. Again, with both guitars, I love the big headstock. I think it's really cool. Let's hear what this one sounds like. So you can definitely hear that, unlike the Macmull one, even at similar volumes, this one has a little bit more compression. It's a bit creamier. It's also just a little bit hairier. It's got a bit more lower end, and it's more traditional Strat type. You know, whether you're aiming for SRV or Jimi Hendrix or whatever, this guitar is probably going to give you that a bit more in the sort of well-recognized sound. Now, I really enjoyed playing this guitar. Both of his guitars. I mean, here's the thing. Aynsley was looking for his perfect Strats. He's got 7 Strats, he tells me, and you know, there's custom shops and all sorts. He tried 80 odd custom shop Strats in 2 years, and said that he didn't find the one, and then he found one collector who was selling some guitars that had both of these guitars, and when he played the blonde one, he knew immediately that he wanted that guitar. when I picked up the blonde Strat and played it, the first thing that struck me was how big of a sound it was. The whole guitar vibrated when I played it. But this Shoreline Gold one was a little bit more tamed back. It's obviously got a rosewood fingerboard, and I think that, you know, it rolls off the top a little bit more, and it's smooth to play and felt very comfortable to me. I just say it's a really, really good Strat. It wouldn't stick out in my memory as much as the blonde one. But first of all, let's hear another one of mine. Let's hear the Case Strat that I've got, which I asked John Case to make me a 1963-ish era type Strat. Let's hear what it sounds like. So I not only wanted this guitar to look like that sort of early 60s era with the three-tone burst, I wanted it to have a vintage feeling neck, so it's got quite a large neck, soft V, and I wanted to have pickups that would give it that glassiness, not too much power. At the 63 Strats and 62 Strats that I tried, they all had this similar glassiness to them, which I really wanted. I wanted to capture that. So John, I told him, you know, you pick the pickups, and he went to JW Restoration. Check him out on Instagram, JW Restoration. He's amazing. He fixes up like 59 Les Pauls and things. I mean, even from neck breaks, not headstock breaks, neck breaks, he manages to get them back. He's incredible. Yeah, so he made these pickups, and this guitar, it doesn't suit everything that I would want to do. It can be a little bit spiky and a little bit, I don't know. It's got a lot of top end to it, but for the right situation, it does the glassy Strat thing for me better than my other two Strats do, and I love it for that. And it just has that more vintage feeling, slightly bigger neck, whereas the Macmull and my other Strat that you'll see both have much more modern, smaller and sort of C-shaped necks. So yeah, this was quite a polite demo from Aynsley on that one. I think he picked up on the glassiness aspect of it. When you wind that one up, it can actually go pretty crazy. And if you were confused, I've had the selector switch turned around, so it's actually in the neck position when it looks like it's in the bridge position. I love this Strat, but it's completely different sounding to Aynsley's 70s ones and the other ones that we've got here. Yeah, it doesn't have as much hair on it unless you really, really push it. And it keeps really beautiful cleans, but they're not as focused as the Macmull, right? They're a bit more glassy, vintage sounding. Okay, let's actually hear a bit more of the blonde one now, and then I'll talk about that. Okay, talk about mojo. This guitar has absolute mojo. I mean, aesthetically, it may be not my favourite colour, this blondish colour for a Strat, but actually, as soon as I'd played this and I'd heard Aynsley playing it and it was in the room, it really took my attention because I've never quite felt a Strat with this much presence before. If you, when I would slide into like, you know, a little chord or something like that, the whole neck and the guitar together would sort of vibrate and push this sound out. And if you hear, it's got really beautiful, hairy, broad tones. Just really pleasing to hear. It's not as focused as some of the other guitars here. And it's just, this is one of those situations where I can't get across the difference as much as it was in the room. It would just fill the whole room from sort of the low end all the way up to the upper mids. And then it didn't have too much top end, so it wasn't spiky or anything like that. Just really, really loved it. It's a unique guitar. Aynsley doesn't want to change anything. I mean, even the pick guard is coming up off the body. He doesn't want to move anything, or, you know, when you've got it right, just leave it. It's difficult to film this guitar. The camera doesn't want to focus. It's got really beautiful finish checking everywhere. It's just a real mojo sort of piece. And I straight away said to Aynsley, how much would it take for you to move this one on? He's like, no. He got it at a great price. There's no point in moving it on. It's probably his number one guitar. And he says everyone asks him if they can have it. So I'm at the bottom of a long list, apparently. And so it was interesting to hear the next guitar straight after this one, because I felt like it was the closest in character. This is my 1989 Strat that my parents bought me when I was younger. I've had a lot changed about it, some for the better, some for the worse. The pickups are fantastic. These are Monty's pickups. I believe they're custom 63. They're really quite hot, really juicy sounding. They say custom 63, but they're completely different to my case Strat, which has a more glassy thing. This definitely feels more like Aynsley's early 70s Strats. You know, I'm sure they're similar to late 60s Hendrixy type sound. Bigger, wilder, hairier. This has a modern C-neck. It's really comfortable to play, and I had the lacquer taken off the back. But yeah, let's hear. Well, compared to my other two Strats, this one is much more like the two that Aynsley brought. It's got slightly hairier tones, a bit more compression. It feels quite loud. It's big. Doesn't have as much bottom end as the blonde one, that's for sure. But there's something really pleasing about it. And these Monty's pickups are lively and they're fun to play, and I really enjoy them. Particularly this guitar, out of my three, is the one that I keep in Hendrix tuning, you know, E flat tuning, sometimes even in D, and then the whole thing just blossoms and it's huge. Yeah, it's good fun. And obviously it's a nostalgic guitar for me, being it's my first ever electric guitar from my parents, so I love it. But ultimately what I found, having listened to these 5 guitars, you know, whilst editing over and over again and in the room, is how different they actually are. Now, Aynsley himself said, at volume, in a gig, does it really make a difference? Probably not. Certainly between his two and my white one, I think you wouldn't tell much difference. The 3-tone burst and the Macmull, the black one, are really quite different. And I think, I mean, Aynsley himself said that those funky tones on the black one were great. And that sort of direct focused mid-tone could be really useful for various styles of playing. And I think the 3-tone burst Strat, well, just for the look and the aesthetic, it has its own thing that, you know, some people just want to play that sort of look of a guitar, which I love personally. But it also had a different tone completely, much more glassy, and so the feel of playing it is quite different. It puts you in a different mood, maybe less attacking and more pretty, you know. I don't know what the right word is. But yeah, I thought this was fun to have 5 Strats next to each other like this, all played through the same amp settings on the Rift, Aynsley Lister's amp. He always has the same settings on the amp, doesn't matter what he's playing. The preamp's turned up really high to 7. The master volume is quite low, but it's very loud. It's about 2.5. Mids, bass, middle and treble on 4, presence on about 4, reverb on about 2.5. And then you use the guitar volume. That's why he doesn't really use pedals. And then he uses a boost pedal sometimes if he needs to. But yeah, playing them alone like this without any other instruments, the differences are quite clear. So yeah, when you're going out there looking for a new Strat, just keep trying them until you find the one. Aynsley said to me, if you play a guitar, just play it through a simple amp in the shop. If there's anything you don't like about that guitar, just leave it. You're not going to make it the one. And the right one will just sort of come out at you. Okay, so let's just finish with a little bit more playing from Aynsley. And yeah, I hope you enjoyed this one. Give the video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. And I'll see you next time. Cheers.